Hi everyone, this is Nicole Sortino, and today on Quarantine Cuisine, we're going to be making a classic, homemade sauce and meatballs. So let's get to it. We're going to start out with 2 cans of crushed tomato, 1 can dice, an onion, a head of garlic, a nice giant saucepan, get it nice and hot, and throw in some extra virgin olive oil. I like to put some garlic and dried chili peppers in mine. You can do whatever you'd like. Get the pan nice and hot and toss in some diced garlic. Usually I dice my onions as well, but today we're trying something new. We're going to use our grater, so let's see how this works. And surprisingly, I had leftover wine, so that's obviously going in the sauce. Can't go wrong with some red wine and a nice rich marinara sauce. So I've got my wine, garlic, onion, all to a nice simmer. Throw in some butter. And next come the cans. I'd say each one of these cans was no more than $1. You can do it to your taste. If you like a chunkier sauce, throw in some more diced tomatoes. Stir it all up. You can see that crushed garlic and the onion coming through in the sauce. I love to see the glisten on the top. That is my favorite. It's a sign of a great sauce. Again, this is not, I had all of the dream ingredients. This is Quarantine Cuisine. I am using leftover dried rosemary from Easter. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And surprisingly, rosemary in the sauce, especially this amount, is really great. It gives it a nice hint of rosemary, but it's not overpowering. And a really good earthy organic flavor. Salt to taste, stir it in. Again, do what you like. If your family is like obsessed with black pepper, go ahead and put more black pepper in. Do what you like. Do what works for you. It smells really good. I'm going to go ahead and add some leftover broth. I don't like to add water to my sauce. I feel like water has obviously no flavor. So anytime I can substitute broth, I will. There goes the pepper. Ideally, I would be using garden tomatoes and fresh basil, but I don't have it. I have Italian seasoning from Aldi. So now we're going to get started on our meatballs that the sauce is simmering. This is just leftover ground beef that was in the freezer with some more grated onions, some herbs, some spices, and a little bit of leftover meat. Meatballs are a great way to kind of incorporate some things that were left over in your fridge. Most folks usually use breadcrumbs, but you can also use just like old bread and pop it in the oven for a few minutes and crush it up and use that instead of breadcrumbs. Another good way to use some groceries that might be getting ready to go bad. Make sure you make those meatballs into nice, beautifully symmetrical circles. And we're going to use a skillet today. The skillet is awesome because it can convert from stovetop to go right into your oven. The oven is preheating right now at 375. And while the oven is heating up and the sauce is simmering, we're going to get a nice golden crust on these meatballs. Notice that we're putting them in one at a time, nice and slow. We did a lot of work on them. We don't want to dump them all in and then have them lose their shape or get stuck to each other. Make sure the oil is hot when you add them. If the oil is not hot enough, the consistency of the meatballs won't be right. Now that we're starting to see them get some color, they're looking beautiful, do a little basting action. And then I'm going to add them one at a time into my sauce, stir them in, and let them simmer. Just let them soak in the sauce. Likewise, the sauce kind of absorb the meat flavor as well. And while that's going, get started on the pasta. You can't make pasta without oil and a little bit of salt. My family prefers spaghetti, but because it's quarantine, we've got penne. And it's looking right. Typically, pasta is supposed to be done al dente. You want it to be not mushy. I definitely overcooked my pasta by about 2 to 3 minutes because you can see some of them are kind of falling apart. So the ideal pasta would be taken out 2 to 3 minutes before. Feel free to taste test. I like to add a little bit of butter to my noodles. I don't rinse my noodles after I drain them. I want them to still have the flavor of the olive oil and the salt and the butter. And then I'm going to go ahead and just integrate a few scoops of sauce into my actual penne. This allows the penne to absorb the sauce and then just be that much more flavorful. Pasta is one of those things that you can eat it left over a day later, 2 days later, and it gets better every day because the noodles just absorb so much flavor. Little bit of sauce, a little bit of extra meatball. Love the glisten on that. And this is, again, this is like under a $10 meal. If I would have gotten a jar of sauce and some Dino's meatballs, I would be spending way more. This will feed my entire family. I would use Parmesan, but you know, quarantine. So amazing. And that is how it's done quarantine style. See you next time.